A new study came out recently stating that people with type 2 diabetes may benefit from exercising in the afternoons. And so I wanted to do this video to explain to you why I think that is the case, how that may be that exercising in the afternoon helps type 2 diabetes. So we're going to dive right in. But first, for those of you who are meeting me for the first time, I am Dr. Amina Goodwin, a physician and health coach, and I help you to eat better so that you can feel better. All right, we'll dive right in. So yes, exercising in the afternoon helps type 2 diabetes. Now, I think exercising anytime is helpful, but what could it be about exercising in the afternoon that might be beneficial to type 2 diabetics? Now, presumably lunch may be the biggest meal of the day for many people. So if you have this large meal, it means that you potentially have a higher spike in your blood glucose levels. Going to exercise maybe an hour or two, even if it's walking, but having some kind of increased physical activity after this large meal means that you will be utilizing some of that extra energy that is supplied by your meal. Ordinarily, if energy is not utilized, it gets stored. So if you're getting up and doing some kind of physical activity, you will be immediately burning this excess glucose rather than storing it. Additionally, once you start burning the excess glucose floating around in your bloodstream, you might actually get to your glycogen stores, depending on how vigorous the physical activity is that you're doing, if you're really utilizing your muscles and so on. Glycogen is the form of glucose that is stored in muscles and the liver. So what happens when you eat is that any excess not used gets stored first as glycogen, liver, and muscles. And then once those glycogen stores are replenished, whatever else gets stored as fat. And depending on how much you eat and how much glucose gets absorbed into your system, that determines how much is left over to be stored as fat. So once you get engaged in that physical activity, you utilize the immediately available glucose, and then now you start going to accessing your glycogen stores. So it means now that by the time evening comes around, dinner time comes around, your glycogen stores are depleted. So you're going to be eating food now, and you're going to need to replenish the glycogen stores. So that food where ordinarily, if you didn't do any physical activity, you did not utilize some of these glycogen stores and deplete them, all that dinner, depending on how inactive you were, a lot of times after work, where we're just so tired that we just go and sit down and watch TV and then crawl into bed. And so if you had done some exercise, depleted the glycogen stores, you're tired, you're not really going to move, but a lot of that food, a lot of that energy from your dinner is going to go now to repleting the glycogen stores. So all of it doesn't have to go to be stored as fat. It goes to replete the glycogen stores, and then you will have less to be stored as fat. You might get up, do a little thing. If you have children, that they might cause you to be a little active, and so you would have less left over to be stored as fat compared to if you didn't do any kind of physical activity. Now, overall, with having less fat stores and having less of a glucose excursion, meaning that rather than be floating around, you're getting more efficient in terms of your metabolism because you're burning things, you're putting things back to more efficient use, glycogen and so on. So the insulin levels will come down a little quicker, meaning that by the time you're ready to go to bed, you will be back in fat burning mode. You will be getting ready to be in a fasting state, because insulin is down. If you can go to bed in fat burning mode, it means that you're able to carry on the functions of your body by accessing your fat stores for energy. This is compared to if you really didn't utilize any of the energy, you didn't exercise, and so you have all this extra energy, and your body, especially as a diabetic, because this study was about diabetics are not able to efficiently reduce blood glucose levels. So you will be going to bed with potentially still elevated blood glucose levels, which means that you're going to bed with still elevated insulin levels. Once insulin is high, you will automatically be in fat storage mode. You cannot be in fat burning mode at the same time that you're in fat storage mode. So you're going to bed in fat storage mode, and you're putting on weight as you sleep instead of going to your fat stores and burning that energy and ultimately improving your blood glucose level. Your blood glucose levels, and therefore your type 2 diabetes. Now, with all this, being consistent with some kind of physical activity in the afternoons means that ultimately, once this cycle continues where you're burning energy, you're getting to glycogen, and you're having glycogen, stores to be replenished in the evening, and ultimately going to bed in fat burning mode, it means that ultimately you will gradually shrink some of the excess fat. And even if you don't shrink some of the excess fat, your insulin resistance will improve because you will not have these perpetually elevated insulin levels. Therefore, once insulin resistance improves, it means that even more efficiently your metabolism works, your body can put away glucose, and your diabetes ultimately improves. Once that type 2 diabetes improves, you can potentially start cutting down some of your doses of medications. And then for those who don't have extreme diabetes, very advanced diabetes, you can actually end up getting off all diabetes medications. And what a wonderful thing that is to be able to reverse the trajectory of your diabetes. Now, I'm not going to say cure, because if you get back into doing the things that you were doing that caused the type 2 diabetes to begin with, it will come back. So you can reverse it, but not potentially cure, because it can easily come back. To cure something, in my opinion, means that it's gone forever. But because diabetes is a sort of a metabolic / lifestyle condition, engaging in those sort of activities will bring it back. So this is how I think exercising in the afternoon is helpful to diabetes. Now, a lot of times it's just not possible to exercise in the afternoon. For me personally, I get in my exercise. I'm more likely to get in my exercise if I do it in the mornings. So everybody has to see what works best for them in terms of timing of exercise. I think it's better to get in some kind of exercise whenever you can get it, rather than to be striving and struggling to have it in the afternoon time. Also, you can structure your meals so that your biggest meal is early in the morning when you're probably more active generally in the day, and instead of having that biggest meal in the evening just before going to bed, so that you're not going to bed in fat storage mode. So that's basically my synopsis of how exercising in the afternoon can help improve type 2 diabetes. It comes down to basically being able to quickly put away use energy, and then, basically not put away, but use energy, and any leftover energy to be stored in a more metabolically friendly form, particularly glycogen, as opposed to having it all being stored as fat, which is just going to perpetuate the whole problem of insulin resistance, which steadily worsens type 2 diabetes with time. If you found this video helpful, go ahead and subscribe to my channel so that you can be notified of future videos that might also be helpful to you. Thank you for watching, and enjoy the rest of your day.